such a bitch in this video. Hi y'all, this is Jace, she, they, and you've found Jace Reads Romance, a community dedicated to empowering women about sex and sexuality through the reading of romance novels. Welcome back to another edition of What I Read. This is where I tell you about all the things that I read. It is the end of February 24th through March 2nd, and it's a lot. It's a lot. So get your comfy sexy on. It's a little bit chilly, so I'm nice and snuggly in this jacket. Make sure you've got a beverage. This is my boring emotional support water bottle, and it is filled with just water. And I will tell you about what I read. This was a week of audiobooks. I had a lot of busy work things in my life that required a lot of time, but maybe not a lot of mental focus. So I got through a bunch of audiobooks this week. The first one was Pole Position by Rebecca J. Caffery. This is an MMF1 romance. And I keep saying that I think I'm in my F1 era. This is one of the reasons I need more. I want more F1 recs, so just keep them coming. This story focuses on Kian and Harper. Kian has been in F1 for over a decade. He's won 3 world champions. He's at the top of his game, and he's nearing-ish the end of his career, but he's still got a lot to give. He's on a team of 2 people, and the other person on his team breaks his leg. And so what is decided is they're going to bring someone from the level below up to compete in this upcoming season. Rather than replace him with the sub, they're going to bring in a whole new driver. Now this driver's name is Harper, and Kian can't stand Harper because Harper is a fuckboy, a complete fuckboy. He parties, he's loud, he's gregarious, he is living the high life. Kian's dad was also a racer, a very famous racer, and his dad ended his career and ended his marriage by drinking and cheating and partying too hard. And so a lot of the things that he saw in his dad and really struggles with his father, he sees in Harper. So they do not get along. Kian cannot stand Harper, and it's a bit of an opposites attract. So as Harper is brought up, he gets more serious. He and Kian become, well, they're really loathing. Kian loathes Harper. And then eventually they start to build a budding acceptance of who each other is, and it turns into a romance. Harper is very open about his sexuality. He is gay, he is out. Kian is bi, but the only relationship that's ever been publicized was with a woman. So while there isn't an internal coming out in his story, there is a public coming out that happens. Kian also has some family drama going on behind the scenes. He was raised by his mother, who was a rock star, and he has a sister. His mother is ill, and his sister has been living at home with her husband and family in order to care for his mom. So there's a lot going on in the back end. As I said, I listened to this as an audiobook. We had 2 male narrators narrating each character, and they did a good job of differentiating their own personalities and their own points of view. Because it's an audiobook, I also don't have any quotes for you. I thought the vibes were good. I thought the story was compelling. I liked the relationship that they built in the end with one another. And I thought it was a really solid F1 romance. I know nothing about F1. F1 is the new hockey for me. Whatever I thought I knew about hockey, I know less about F1, so it's easier for me to suspend my disbelief. There's a bit of the taboo because they are teammates, but it works for them, and the story was lovely. I thought it was a really nice job. This next audiobook, I thought I was gonna love. I had really high expectations for, and it did not meet them. It is Forged in Blood by Sadie Kincaid, and I've read other Sadie Kincaid books and loved them. This is a vampire book. I love vampires. I eat vampire stories up. I am obsessed. So love Sadie Kincaid, love vampires. It's a full cast audiobook, which I thought would make it even better, and I hated it. I hated it. I hated it so much. And I don't think it was the performances. I'm not going to say bad performances. It really was the book. It was the book. I think if I had read this, I would have also hated it. It felt like a bully romance. This wasn't a why choose. While this is a why choose, it didn't feel like a coming together of a polycule. It felt like a bully romance. Oh fuck, what's her name? Oh god. The FMC's name is Ophelia. Maybe I'm weird, but whenever I hear Ophelia, I think Hamlet. I'm always going to think of a character named Ophelia through the lens of anything to do with Hamlet, or that's a bit tragic. So I don't love that her name is Ophelia to begin with. And then she's 18, she's newly on a college campus, and she's just beaten down. She's orphaned, she was bullied, she just lets people treat her absolutely terribly. And so at school, this group of dudes starts treating her terribly, and she's like, I will accept my defeat. No! Oh my god, girl, like, get your shit together and get some dignity. Also, the fact that these boys go from bully, do I like you, to bully, I don't appreciate it. It doesn't feel healthy. This feels solidly like morally gray, almost black. To me, I don't appreciate it. I don't mind dark shit in a book, but I want the relationship between the main characters to be relatively healthy, for me to root for these people, for me to root for this couple, and I didn't. Now, the thing about this why choose situation, in addition to all of that, the boys are also supposed to be together, and we barely got any of that. It's like implied more than really shown. If you're telling me these men folks are fucking and have been for hundreds of years, I want to see some fucking. It felt like anytime they were together, it was just because they couldn't have Ophelia, which, no thank you. I don't appreciate. I want to see all of it together. It's not all about her. And then these are hundreds of year old vampires who are acting like 20-year-old frat bros. It doesn't matter. Like, in general, you're gonna mature. You can't be a 20-year-old college student for forever. You're gonna see too much of the world. You're gonna have too many life experiences. You don't get to be as naive or as juvenile as these boys seem to me if you're hundreds of years old. And on top of that, there's a professor situation. So there's a professor who sired all of these boys, and he's the adult. They're all hundreds of years old. Yes, he's the oldest of them, but they're all hundreds of years old, and he is horribly problematic as well. This is a trilogy. I'm not continuing at all. I have zero interest in continuing with this story, in continuing with this feeling. Ophelia also is supposed to be some like long lost paranormal something and have all these secret powers that she just doesn't know about. The earth shakes when she comes. How do you not know? You're a young woman. I'm sure you've masturbated. This was not for me. This was not for me. Sadie Kincaid, still for me. I will be reading other series of hers. Vampires, always for me. I love them desperately. But this particular vampire series, no thank you. I'm done. I needed to redeem this week somehow, and I did it by reading Drown Me in Dreams, which is the final book in the duology by Gabi Burton. The first one was Sing Me to Sleep. I adored this. I thought this whole duology was so unique and so exciting. It is YA, so there's no spice. And I gotta say, there were moments when I wanted some, but I didn't miss it terribly because of how exciting and how well written this story was. The main characters are still Saoirse as our FMC and her love interest, Hayes. I am going to be ruining things for Sing Me to Sleep, so if you haven't read that, you might just want to fast forward until you no longer see the book. At the end of Sing Me to Sleep, the king is dead, Hayes is going to be crowned king, and Saoirse has been accused of the murder. She didn't murder him, but she was part of the whole situation, and Hayes needs to figure out what he's going to do next with her. So she is in prison. And what Hayes decides and what Saoirse helps him with is they need to figure out what's actually happening across the barrier. Their kingdom is encased in this barrier. No one can get in or out is what they've been told. But it turns out that the old king has been sending people across the barrier for years. And they have no idea why, and they have no idea what's going on. So Hayes sends Saoirse across the barrier along with her good friend, who she's really mad at, with good reason, And he sends them across the barrier to glean information and kind of help plan what Hayes' next move is going to be. On the other side of the barrier, Saoirse is not only looking for information about the resistance that's been plotting to overthrow her kingdom, but also for sirens. She's looking for more of her kind. We do get some answers, we don't get some other answers. What we find is the resistance on the other side is basically non-existent. No one across the barrier believes that people from her kingdom are coming through or coming to threaten or anything. The resistance basically doesn't exist, which really deflates her friend and makes Saoirse mad because she's basically been lied to through the deceit of these people. What they discover as well is that the old king had been sending soldiers across and secretly planning to overthrow the neighboring kingdom, to take over this neighboring kingdom. So Saoirse infiltrates that group of soldiers in order to get this information, become part of the planning that's happening on this side. And she has to figure out where her loyalties lie. Who is she going to try and save? What is she going to try and do? Does she want to be with Hayes? Will she run away with him for the sake of her family? There's a lot going on in this book, and I have to say I loved the way that Gabi handled it. YA can feel really light and like the feelings are watered down. The feelings and the stakes of this book felt worthwhile, felt exciting, and felt really compelling for me. The duology is completed, as I said, so you just have the 2 books and you don't have to wait for anything else. I highly recommend this if you're looking for a fantasy YA telling, if you love Black authors, if you want to celebrate people of color in this space. Highly recommend this book. Oh, I can share quotes with you. I keep the quotes on my phone because it's easier for me to find them that way. This was literally just from her dedication: for Black girls growing in the ashes of our stolen past. Oh, a note I have: this better not turn into some love triangle bullshit. I will tell you it does not. While the main couple is MF, this is a straight story, the world contains queer creatures, queer beings, if you would. So you get side characters who are queer, who are non-binary, who are trans. It's not just cis het, even though the 2 main characters are. Okay, so one of the things that happens is Saoirse has these beads that you can dreamweave and see Hayes across time, but her body's not there. It's kind of like an image, kind of like a ghost. And they end up sleeping together. Literally sleeping together in the same bed, sleeping together. It's so cute. The tension is building between the 2 of them, and her wanting is building. And this is a moment of that with Hayes. You feel so real. His voice is hushed, but you're not really here. I want to kiss you, Saoirse. I want to kiss you to oblivion. I want to be so wrapped up in you, I don't know where I end. I want to leave you with swollen lips. I want to wake up to sheets that smell like you. I told you before, I want you, all of you. I won't settle for a phantom. And this happens after she's asked him to kiss her, and this is why he said no, and I just love that. And then when they finally do physically reconnect, gently, his hands cup the side of my face. His thumb caresses my bottom lip. His eyes follow the motion. He leans in closer and closer. Be sorry in 10 minutes. His lips descend over mine. I love it. It's so cute. It was so cute and so sweet, and I thought just an amazing job. Also, it deals with having a tyrannical government and how do you change? How do you prove, number one, how do you break down a tyrannical system? And then how do you prove yourself over and over again about being a worthwhile leader in the history of tyranny? So I thought it was fantastic. Back to audiobook land. This was a great audiobook. This was Heartless Hunter by Kristen Ciccarelli. No idea how to say that. So I listened to this before I got to meet her. I thought this was a blast. This was also new adultish, it's YA/NA, so there's no spice. It's another fantasy retelling. I read these 2 back to back. I was just in a fantasy mood, but this is it actually has a lot of similarities between Sing Me to Sleep. So if you like Sing Me to Sleep and you want another one, here we go. So In this world, there are witches, and witches are only women, and the magic that they have is blood magic. You can either use your own blood or someone else's blood to create magic. If you're cut for magical purposes, the scar will turn a silvery color. So you can tell the difference between a scar, oh, I fell and cut myself, and I have been used for magic, or I use myself for magic. There was a tyrannical trio of witch queens that ruled together, these three sisters, and they were overthrown. And now there's been this republic installed, and the republic is anti-witch, and the republic is murdering witches. Anyone discovered as being a witch, you are murdered. You're literally hung upside down and bled out. It's really horrendous and horribly violent. Oh, and you don't know if you're a witch until your first menstrual cycle, of course, because only your first, but your first menstrual cycle is black if you're a witch. If you're not a witch, it's just regular. Rune is our FMC. She was raised by a witch, a very well-known witch. She is the adopted granddaughter of this witch. And when the revolution happened, Rune was still too young to know if she's a witch or not. She hadn't had her first menstrual cycle. She and her grandmother were trying to run away, and they discovered that they were basically trapped. There was no getting out. So the grandmother says, you have to turn me in, Rune, because sympathizers, people housing witches, people helping witches are also being killed, and I can't have you killed. Rune appears to give up her grandmother to the witch hunters, and in doing so saves herself. And the Republic now views her as this person so loyal to them that she would give up her own grandmother to the cause. So she is in high society. Her grandmother had a shipping business that she inherited. She's very wealthy. She is the upper echelon of humans. And she has this double life. This book is loosely based on the idea of the Scarlet Pimpernel, which you should go look up. It's pretty cool. So Rune in society is this very flighty airhead of a girl who only cares about pretty dresses and cute shoes and getting her hair done. But secretly, she is this vigilante, the Crimson Moth, who helps witches escape. And she does this because she couldn't save her grandmother, so she saves as many witches as she can. Her best friend is named Alex, and she and Alex have been friends since way before the revolution. Alex's older brother, Gideon, is captain of the Blood Guard, captain of the witch hunters. And he captured this woman that Rune's grandmother told her she had to go find. And in order to get information to save this witch, Rune decides, I'm gonna play Gideon. I'm gonna pretend I like Gideon, and I'm going to let him court me so I can get information. And she flirts with everything. She flirts with anyone. She gets a lot of information that way because she's this lady, airhead of, a lady. Gideon discovers that a witch escaped on one of Rune's cargo ships. And the one thing I will say is, I don't know how you decided she was the Crimson Moth so fast. Gideon is suddenly like, oh, what if she's the Crimson Moth? But there's literally nothing saying she's the Crimson Moth except someone escaped on her boat. So I was a little surprised at that. Not, oh, let me get information about this. Do you know anything? But, oh, you must be the Crimson Moth. So he's courting her to get information to see if she's the Crimson Moth. And she's courting him to get information to save Seraphina, this witch that she needs to save. And then they spend time together and they flirt and they banter and they actually fall for each other. And it is so good because outwardly it's not enemies to lovers, but inwardly it is enemies to lovers because the things that they want are completely opposed. If Rune gets what she wants, Gideon doesn't get what he wants. If Gideon gets what he wants, Rune doesn't get what she wants. So there's this ooey gooey good tension. And then also the genuine connection that they discover between the two of them. This book ends on a cliffhanger. It is also a duology. The second book just came out. It's why I was reading the first book. I went to an event for the second book that came out. So you can read both of them and they are completed. Like I said, I listened to this as an audiobook. This was one narrator for the whole thing, which is my second favorite way to listen to audiobooks. First is duet/full cast. Second is single narrator, and third is dual, sorry. But this was a single narrator, done really well. Her characters and her voices were consistent across the board. They didn't feel unrealistic. I enjoyed it a lot. So you can either read it or listen to the audiobook. I thought it was great. Next, I read Misadventures of a Curvy Girl by Sierra Simone. This was recommended to me by Haley. When I interviewed her, you can check out that podcast interview from back in September, or even when we were doing our new Camelot trilogy series. We talk about Sierra Simone a lot. Duh, she wrote the new Camelot trilogy. But Misadventures of a Curvy Girl was one of Haley's first romances, so I wanted to see what the hype was about. This is a short story. It's less than 300 pages. Ireland works for a marketing company, and she's being sent off into rural Nebraska to take photos for Nebraska tourism. That's the advertising thing that they are doing for her company. She gets stuck in the mud on the way to this farmer she's supposed to meet's house. And when he comes down to save her because she's incredibly late, he's hot and he falls. He just falls, immediately obsessed with her. She finds him very attractive. We're going to leave the car and I'm going to bring you with me and you can stay at my house while the next storm that's coming down the hatches blows through. So they go to visit this old lady who lives nearby just to check on her, make sure everything's okay. And the old lady says, Caleb, you and Ben are going to be so happy to have her. What? Ben? Who is this? Ben is his boyfriend. Ben is Caleb's boyfriend. This is an MMF book, my favorite. And it is an MMF book, but I was a little confused by it. So it turns out Caleb and Ben have known each other since high school and they are together. They know what they want is a woman. They know that that's their preference and they've had that in the past, but the last woman they dated broke up with them and it's been just the two of them, which is fine, but definitely not what they want. So if you read The Perfect Fit by Sadie Kincaid, you know, they like each other as a trio, but they need that extra something, and that extra something is Ireland. Ireland is, as you might guess from the title, a curvy girl. She has a lot of hang-ups about her body, and Caleb just worships the ground that she walks on. From the beginning, he is obsessed with her and her body. No qualms about it. Ben is a vet, and so he has some emotional stuff to work through. And while he definitely is attracted to Ireland right away, he's a little more reticent to start a relationship. This is a very quick story. It's very spicy. I think it's a 3 on the spice scale. So there's a lot happening. But in terms of plot, it's fairly basic. It's a will they, won't they for this big life change. Is Ireland going to leave her city life and go live with them in Nebraska? What is she going to build? Do they really like me? Are we ready to open ourselves up to this? But it's a very quick read. And I completely understand why Haley read this and went, yeah, I want some more of that. While I read this as a physical book, I got it from my library. So my quotes are here. He immediately starts calling her Peaches. Before we even hear about, from the old lady about Ben, he starts fantasizing about Ireland. In bed, under me, over me, between Ben and me. A little moment. He lifts her into his truck and she's having all sorts of feelings about it because she's a bigger girl. I'm flushed bright red. I didn't expect him to twirl me off the horse like a cartoon prince or anything, but surely it wasn't too much to ask for help. Surely even big girls deserve a steadying arm, but Caleb easily caught all 200-odd pounds of me without so much as a grunt of complaint, and then placed me as carefully in the seat as he would a stack of china teacups. He falls so hard. Well, tough. She better get used to being pampered and taken care of because I want to make it my life's work. There's a lot of self-loathing and then turning it into self-love in this. She's talking specifically about her belly. I don't know if I'm ready to share it with these men. I don't know if I'll ever be ready to share it with any lover, come to that. But especially these two, as fit and tight and hard as their bodies are, how could they still want me if they know how soft and loose I am? People aren't just one thing. People aren't just confident and then that's it. There's nothing that can dent that confidence. People aren't just brave and then free from fear their entire lives. We exist in tangles of virtue and weakness simultaneously. We are the best and worst of ourselves all at the same time. And those are my quotes. Thank you. Thank you. Misadventures of is a whole series by lots of different authors. So if that kind of short and sweet story is for you, I might check out the whole series. The next book novella that I read was Shattered Innocence by Sarah Kate. This is part of the Black Rose auction, which is 6 books by 6 authors that all take place at the Black Rose auction. Some of these books are connected to larger worlds that these authors have. Some of them are just standalones. This one is an FFM story loosely based on Cinderella. In this tale, you've got Birdie, the Cinderella figure who has been abused by her stepmother, and just to get out from underneath her stepmother says, you can offer up my virginity and my hand in marriage at the Black Rose auction. If it gets me out of this house, I don't care. I don't care how I do it. I just need to get out. So stepmother agrees and puts her up for auction at the Black Rose. What we find out is Birdie and one of the stepsisters is trash and abusive and terrible, but the other one, Violet, she and Birdie are actually in love and they are together. And one of the things that Violet is trying to do is get Birdie not just out of the house, but then out of that marriage and away from the whole life. So Violet goes to an ex-lover of hers who is much older. His name is Alaric, and says, I need you to win Birdie at the Black Rose auction. I need you to win her, and then she and I are going to run away together. Alaric is kind of apprehensive at first, but eventually decides, okay, for you, my ex-lover, I will. So Alaric goes to the Black Rose auction. He sees Birdie and he is captivated by her. Birdie is so innocent. Before the Black Rose auction, we get a little scene between Violet and Birdie where Violet gets Birdie off, but apparently that's never been reciprocated the other way. It's very odd to me that you have this whole I'm in love with you, but I've never participated. So Alaric wins Birdie's hand in marriage, and then we discover the little bitch that is the stepmother said, oh yeah, you can marry her, but I have to watch you consummate the marriage. That's part of the contract. So Alaric and Birdie have sex. He takes her virginity and he ends up making it very sweet. So if you've read, I don't want to say it exactly, but because it's a much different circumstance, but if you read Still Beating by Jennifer Hartman, kind of that way, where Alaric just says, look at me, it's just you and me, it's just us, we're gonna make this work, and they fall for each other. And then it becomes this, oh well, Alaric doesn't want to let her go, Birdie kind of falls for Alaric, but Alaric and Violet have this history and they also kind of like each other. So what's going to happen to the 3 of them as this moves forward? It was short, it was spicy, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a blast. These Black Rose auction books, I'm finding them a lot of fun. Quotes: the age gap between Violet and Alaric is 17 years. If you needed to know. There's a lot of taboo. They are stepsisters. This is Birdie. This feels so dirty and wrong, but I love it. Violet with her hand on my panties, stroking me in secret while calling me her little sister. What is wrong with me? And why do I find this so hot? I don't know, girl. I don't know what's wrong with you. She's also like 18. Like, there's an age gap between Violet and Birdie as well. They're not the same age. Everything else I highlight is mostly clit stimulation, but it's good. I enjoy Sarah Kate as a writer. I thought this was a lot of fun. It's a Cinderella retelling. I don't think it's connected to any other world, though I don't know all of her books and all of her world, so if Alaric is a side character in something else, I wouldn't be surprised. Didn't I say like the Black Rose auction? I read Royal Heart, which is by Nana Malone, another Black Rose auction novella. This one I also think has a tangential relationship to a different series of hers, but I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. This story is about Ari and Damon. Ari's dad was a thief. Ari always wanted to be his protege. Her dad said, no, I'm not going to let you learn the skills. I'm not going to induct you into this life of crime, but took Damon on as his protege. And so Ari already had a lot of big feelings about Damon and her dad and all of that. And then, while on a job together, Ari's dad was murdered and Damon runs away. So she's got not just a lot of feelings about her dad because he wouldn't let her be in the family business, and about Damon for being welcomed into said business, but then Damon was there when her dad was murdered and runs away and abandons her when she's 16-ish. So a lot of stuff. She takes this family business, these skills, the learnings that she did in secret from her dad, and turns it the other way. So she works for an insurance company reclaiming stolen things as a safecracker instructor. She helps create the plans. She does desk work for this insurance company to help the people who are going into the field do the thing that they need to do. Damon kept going with his life of crime, but has been trying to get legit. And a friend of his, who turns out is a long-lost prince, comes to him and needs a favor. This necklace that's been in his family for generations has been stolen, and they find out it's going to be auctioned at the Black Rose auction. So he wants Damon's help to swap the necklace for a fake so that he can get the real one back. Damon enlists Ari's help with this insurance company, kind of, and Damon and Ari end up going to the Black Rose auction, posing as a married couple in order to get this necklace, which is called the Royal Heart. They are forced together. They're forced to be affectionate. They're not forced to be intimate in terms of sexuality, but forced to display an intimate relationship, that they know each other. And the time together reawakens this tension, this yearning that Ari had for him and he had for her back when they were teenagers. It's been many years. Damon has held a torch for her. Ari has tried to forget everything about Damon. And as they go into this practice, as they keep going with this heist, the heightened tension leads to an explosion of sensuality and also an excitement. They really feel a connection toward one another. This one felt a little short. This one felt shorter. I don't know how to explain it with the relationship. It wasn't bad. It also wasn't as spicy, I feel like, as some of the other Black Rose books that I've read were. This also was the most action-y of the books that I'd read so far. Every other story, the Black Rose auction was kind of tangential to the relationships, and the relationships were the focus, but this one was action-packed. They had a heist they had to do. They had to get in, get out, thwart the bad guys, and so on. So the fact that the Black Rose auction, while yes, the setting played way less of a part in this story than in the other ones I've read. Quotes! Practice kissing so that they're comfortable in front of other people. It's always a great idea. I don't know if I agree with this line as philosophically, but it hit me when I read it. I was aroused plenty when I was on my own, but somehow I'd never really been able to connect to someone else that way. I tried to be open to anyone regardless of gender. I'd assumed I was asexual. Nope. Apparently I was just Damon-sexual. Which it might be that she's demisexual or gray or something like that. I also like the line, but I don't like the line. There's a my wife moment. If you're a my wife person, they claim this a second chance, but they didn't actually date when they were teenagers, so I don't know if this is a second chance to me. And there you have it. Next book was An Arc for Deep Pockets by Nana Malone. This is part of a series. It's book one in a series, and this series is connected to a different series. Don't worry, I didn't know that until afterwards. So you don't have to read the other series. You can read the series and get a feel for it. This story is about Morgan and Lance. Morgan's sister, Gwen, is Lance's best friend. And there's a bit of an age gap. I think it's almost 10 years. So it makes sense why when they met when she was a teenager, there was nothing between them. But Gwen is now getting married. And at her wedding, tension between Lance and Morgan comes to a head, and they have this really wonderful night together. Morgan's been harboring a crush on him. He's been harboring a crush on her. Now, a terrible group of things happens the next morning. The next morning, Morgan misreads a journal entry thinking that Lance is talking about having feelings for Gwen when he's actually talking about having feelings for Morgan. And Lance, who we learn is on the run from his organized crime family. He's been in hiding, which I think is dumb because he's now a really well-known businessman and super wealthy. And if you're trying to hide from your family, don't get a lot of money that could potentially lead to notoriety. But hey, what do I know? Anyway, Lance's brother shows up at his apartment, battered and bruised and bloody, and Lance wants to protect Morgan from all of this. So when she's a little freaked out because of what she read in the diary, he turns it around and basically says, yeah, it was like a nice fuck, it was okay, but we'll never do it again, bye. Yeah, that goes off really, really well. Morgan and Gwen's dad is trash. He's terrible. Morgan is finishing up her college at FIT. She's a final project to do. She's got all sorts of sketches and clothes made to do for this final presentation. And she comes home one day to find that her father has burned all of it, or is in the process of burning all of it, because he wants Morgan to live under his roof and follow his rules and do what he wants in society and in a potential arranged marriage. So, like, not great. Morgan is like, no, thank you. I'm going to live my life. I will not let you control me, and runs away. Gwen and her husband are on their honeymoon, and so Lance is kind of pseudo in charge of looking after Morgan. Lance discovers that Morgan has been crashing at Gwen and her husband's condo or townhome that's under renovations. Lance says nope, goes and finds her, drags her back to his apartment, which is a 1-bedroom apartment. The smallest bedroom apartment I've ever seen someone with that much money have, and I applaud. But it means that there's only one bed, and so they share the bed because Morgan refuses to be on the couch and Lance refuses to give up his fucking bed. So now they're in forced proximity with one another. There are all these kind of bad feelings from the night that was and then wasn't in the morning, as well as all the drama that's going on around them. Morgan is trying to pick up the pieces of her life after her dad threw her out, or she left her dad's and won't let him control her. Lance has his family sniffing down the pipeline. What is he going to do? How is he going to protect him? How is he going to protect Morgan? Also, should he be with Morgan again? He can't stop thinking about her. He wants her. This book felt like a repetition of the fuck it moment over and over and over again. Like every time they got together it was like, and we won't, no we shan't, okay great we're going to, like, it just over and over and over again, which isn't bad. I do love a fuck it moment, but at a certain point you're like, you know, you're making your word kind of meaningless at this point. Like, wow, sir, if you actually want me to believe that you are never going to do this again, you should probably stop having sex with her, or just keep having sex with her, admit that you want her, and build a relationship. This is the beginning of a series. It ends on a cliffhanger. I don't actually know when the second book comes out, but Deep Pockets is out now. Because the copy that I have is an ARC and I'm lazy and I don't check things, I can't give you quotes. The last book I read this week was a 5-fucking-star read. It is Not Safe for Work by Nisha J. Chuli. I loved this book. Nisha, you can do no wrong. I'm here for it. Everything that you will ever do, I will now buy because I loved this so much. It is a contemporary romance. She's only done fantasy in the past, and she nailed it. She absolutely nailed this. Nailed it. It is Trishara and Rafe. They are rivals to lovers. They work at the same tech firm. Trishara has just been looked over time and time again. She's been there 5 years. She's never been promoted. Rafe is the son of a C-level dude and just gets promotion after promotion. So she's feeling very lackluster about her job. And she and Rafe just have this really mean, nasty banter toward one another. The company announces that they are going to be taking 2 people from each office and sending them on a leadership retreat in Hawaii. Now, Triss obviously doesn't believe she's going to get it. She's been passed over for everything. But when she is given it, clearly to try and fill a quota about how diverse they are, she accepts and makes a bunch of demands about how she's going to get there in first class and X, Y, and Z and new luggage. And it's really kind of fun. The other person on the trip with her is, of course, Rafe. And somehow when she's demanding a really good room, what they do is book her and Rafe into the honeymoon suite. I don't know if it was a mix-up or some matchmaking gone awry or whatever, but they end up in the honeymoon suite together. They banter, they're mad. Rafe starts on the couch, I will give him that. And the more time they spend with one another, the more Triss learns who Rafe is. She has this assumption that he's this giant fuckboy because his daddy's one of the C-levels and he's done nothing to earn it. And even though he's really hot, she wants nothing to do with him. And the more that they get to know each other, the more they discover what they want out of life, what the other wants out of life, and how the rivalry is unfounded, but also can be moved past. I fucking love this book. I loved it. And I'm going to say, I can't read you quotes because I'm not supposed to, but I did put them into the Forearms episode. That's part of my Substack. So if you go to Substack, you can find it under the membership tab because It was great. There were eight references to forearms. That is a huge part of this book. In fact, if you look at Nisha J. Tooley's Instagram, you will see that one of the tropes in this book is forearms. I love the forced proximity. I love that they get to know each other. I love the kind of hijinks that ensue. I think that the two people that they become along the way are incredibly complimentary of the other and fully supportive of the other. And while a lot of workplace ends with like they're still kind of rivals or some person has had to give something up for the other, it doesn't end like that, which throws so much of this trope on its face, but I think in a way that we need, because so often a partner is expected to sacrifice for the other and stop, their pursuits for the other, and that's not the case in this story, and I think that made the difference for me. That is everything that I read this week. I hope that you stayed hydrated. Follow along, like and subscribe so that you can be updated whenever I post a new video, and until next time, this is Jace, holding space for you.